This video is sponsored by Wing Technology, your ultimate flight sim hardware solution.
Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing very well. It's late February 2021 and Granelli has done a new update for his F-22A free mod in DCS. We're going to start out this website here and I will show the link to this website in the video description you are watching. So come here, you can read about everything, you've got reviews of it, you've got talking about the functionality of it, and we'll go through this in this video anyway, so we're not going to read it here. The main changes with this version are the way in which you interact with the cockpit. We now have a semi-clickable cockpit, which is pretty awesome. So first of all, let's install. From this website here, we're going to go down and click on download the mod, and then click on that there. It will download a 1.24 gigabyte file. We will then find that file, which is that one there. Double click inside of it, double click inside of that. You'll be shown F-22A. We will then right click that and copy. We've then got to go and find our saved games folder. For me, that's going to be C drive, users, my particular user, saved games. Then we're going to go into our DCS directory. Mine is DCS Open Beta. Yours might just be DCS, so bear that in mind. Click there. Then into mods, spelled exactly like that. And if you haven't got that folder, please make it. And then into aircraft, same thing. If you haven't got that folder, please make it. And then they're going to right click and I'm going to paste. Now I've already got it in there, so I don't need to do it again. That's it installed. Next, we need to set it up. So let's go into DCS. My version is Open Beta, the latest one, February 2021. Very important, for this module to work for you, you must have the F-15C installed or Flaming Cliffs 3 pack installed. First, I'm going to show you how to set the controls up, and it's very important. The controls are unlike any other modules in DCS. So, main menu, options, controls. On the left here, click F-22A. I'm just going to show you the controls that you need to set on top of the ones that are automatically set. I'm not going to show you where I bind them to my stick because it's of no interest. I just want to show you which ones you need to set. We're going to start in Axis Commands. In fact, before we even come here, what you should do is find your devices. So that's a device, that's a device, that's a device. Click on that arrow there and go clear category on that device, that device, that device, and your rudder pedals. If you've got them, do not do that on the keyboard. You will need to do that under the All section and the Axis Commands. That will basically reset your devices. Like I said, not the keyboard. So, Axis Commands. I'm going to start at the bottom because I'm a bit backwards. I would suggest you have an axis set to zoom view. You also want your thrust right and your thrust left axis set to them if you can. Rudder, you want to set that to your axis, either foot pedals or however you're going to do that. Roll, set that obviously to your joystick left and right. Here's where it gets special. If you want pitch, do not set that pitch there, set that pitch there. F-22 FCS pitch axis, otherwise the mod won't work. Same things with wheel brakes. If you want the wheel brakes to work, set here F-22 wheel brake left, F-22 wheel brake right, and again I've got these set of axes on the toe brakes there. That's all of the axis. Let's go to the normal commands. So all, if we do this in categories, why don't we start with weapons here. There are only two that I'm going to set in this weapons here, so it's very important. We're going to have cannon set, and I've set that there, and we're going to have weapon change set, and I'm going to set that there. We are not going to set weapon fire and weapon release. The reason is that has a set of special commands. So next we're going to go and select F-22A HOTAS. We're going to set to fire a missile, weapon release here. And for your trigger first and second detent, we're going to set these here. Next is going to be trim, special trim for the pitch. Make sure the pitch trim is set here. So we've got down and we've got up. Also, it's a good idea to set FCS auto/off here. Let's go and do the rest of our trim. So we're going to go search. We're just going to go trim. It's probably the easiest way. And I'm going to set left wing down here, right wing down here. Reminder, do not set up and down here. You'll want the special FCS trim. Next, we're going to go to systems. We're doing this in a slightly funny order, but it doesn't really matter. I suggest binding the follow to your HOTAS. Air brake off, air brake on, flaps up there, and flaps landing position. Next, good idea to bind this. We're going to go to countermeasures and bind chaff dispense and flare dispense, I would suggest. Next, we're going to go into sensors. Ones that I suggest you bind are display zoom in, zoom out. I've actually just bound them to the keyboard. And I would also suggest you bind scan zone down, left, right, and up. It's just general practice. I've done them as the cursor keys on the numpad. I suggest you bind target designator up, down, left and right. I've just put them as the cursor keys for the time being, main cursor keys on the keyboard. Target lock, I suggest you bind to your HOTAS there, and make sure you've bound something to unlock TWS target, and I've just put that to U for the time being. Finally, if we've got modes, yes we have. These modes 1 through to 8 are currently on the keyboard keys 1 to 8, and that's fine, but some of them you might want to get in a hurry, like beyond visual range, vertical scan mode and bore sight mode, and I've bound them to the HOTAS. So those are the commands that I suggest you bind to your HOTAS and your rudder pedals, additionally to the basic keyboard command. And if you want to go and add a load more, you can do that, but that will get you up and running and doing just about everything you need to. So we're done with our commands now. Let's go and set up a mission. I suggest the easiest way is go to Mission Editor. New. Choose a map. Okay. Zoom in on an airbase. Place plane group. Place it on the apron there. Select F-22. Make it client. Make it take off from ramp. Make 2 of them. We've now got 2 F-22A Raptors sitting here, ready for use. And today we've brought in a friend, as we always do. We've got Simba. Say hello, Simba.
Hello.
We're now going to turn this into a multiplayer game, and stand by. First, we're going to rearm, then we're going to show you a cold start, then we're going to show you which controls in this cockpit we can manipulate manually, then we're going to go through the operation of the UFC, then we're going to go through the various operations of the MFDs here, and then we'll go and take off and try and shoot something down. So, first thing, rearmament. Now, a little bit different to how we'd normally work it. We'll click COM2 there, and we've got the armament screen. You can see the various bay pylons there, underwing, and special smoke for 6. So just to keep things simple, we're going to go 5 and 7, get a couple of AMRAAM deltas in, and 1 and 11, we're just going to get some A9Xs there. If you want to see exactly what weapons could be selected in each pylon, just pop in and you can have a look. Note, we also have a whole big selection of liveries, so someone's been very busy making these liveries. So let's go to OK, let that rearm. Note that you will want to be cold with your canopy open to rearm. We can admire the 3D model while we're here, and you can see it's a pretty top-notch 3D model. You know, it's not as good as, you know, an $80 Tomcat or whatnot, but for a free mod, it's pretty top-notch, I think you'd agree. You can see the side bays there, and you can see the missiles actually arming on them. We'll talk more about the function of the bays later. Next, Simba, we're going to do a startup. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Cold start. Let's go. Battery on. Let's go. APU start, and it will reset back to ARM. Allow the APU to fire up. APU is stabilized, so we're going to click right throttle, click left throttle. I've just been told if we connect ground power, we get a little Easter egg as well. So let's go and do that. Comms menu, ground crew, ground electric power on.
Chief, turn on the ground power.
And we'll see that in a second.
Ground power.
Haha, dolly! Got a dolly. Very good. You can see the engine tacho there in percentage. We're going to let that to get to idle. Okay, we're up to idle, 67%. And right generator on, left generator on. And APU off with a left click. Left control and Charlie for the canopy down. Okay, next we need to look at what is the main change for this module, and that is all the clickable buttons. So, we start on the right console. None of this is clickable where I'm moving my mouse. The stick, you can see it moving, which is pretty cool. The battery obviously is clickable. If we move over to the left console, we've got some more functionality. So nothing in these 2 panels. In this panel here, we've got the air-to-air door opener closed. Do you want to open your Simba so I can have a look inside? You can see he's turned his light on and opened his door. God, those engines are loud. Next, we've got the air-to-air refueling light, which you saw there. Next, position and anti-collision lights. And we've got various options there. Next, formation lights, which is a dial or a slider, which we can turn off all the way to bright. Next, our mode for the interior lighting, normal day mode or night vision goggle friendly. Next, we have a rheostat again for console, so interior lights console and interior flood. Note there's also a rheostat for the instrument panel underneath this throttle here. You have to kind of lift it up and grab it like that. It's a little bit awkward. I don't really know a better way of doing that. Let's move forward to the electrics panel. As we saw earlier, generator switches, APU modelled. This guy's not. Up here, master arm is modelled, so to fire a missile, fire the gun, you'll need that on. Landing taxi lights or off is modelled. Parking brake is modelled, so you can have that on or off. And hook is obviously not modelled. Landing gear handle is modelled, but I can't show you now, obviously. Next, if we go up to the HUD, very simply, this is just the F-15 HUD. Would you agree with that?
I agree.
Next to the UFC, the up-front controller, we have a new way of manipulating various functionalities. So, let's say we want to cycle through waypoints, or points of interest, I should say. It could be air bases, or approach points. We can do it with the incrementer here. Annoyingly, I'm not in a position to show you. Let me try that again. There we go. You can see me cycling through points of interest there. Next, COM 1. If we press it, is going to be our communications menu, and you can then move up here and do whatever you want, ground crew, ATC, and so on. Next, as you saw, COM 2 will bring up the rearmament menu, so I believe that will be the intercom, probably be the best description for that. Nav, as you saw, just turns you into the HUD nav mode. In fact, it will cycle between the different HUD nav modes there are. STPT brings up a current kneeboard map of a relevant location. You can see centered on Batumi. IFF, non-functional. Alt, autopilot control. If we want altitude hold, route follow, or to disengage the autopilot, we can use these function switches here to select whichever, and they do work. HUD, we can change the it's basically the master mode of the plane here. Usually you would press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. on the keyboard to do that, but you could do it through there if you want to click on one of these. Next, other, not modeled. DVR, not modeled. In fact, scratch it. Other does change the cycles the color of the HUD symbology. Another way of accessing the autopilot there. Mark, currently not functional. This incrementer, not functional. We do have some alphanumeric keys here, but at the time of speaking, they have no use. Probably something we'll see in the future. Finally, a real up, wheel down for the symbology brightness. 3 more here that are not modeled. Next, map lights. I can grab my map light. It's a little bit awkward. There we go. And then use the mouse scroll wheel to move in and out, like that. Next, we have the smaller of the 5 MFDs. So we've got top left, top right. These are read only, so we cannot actually manipulate with them. We can swap them over with these top buttons here. We have, on the left in this case, our ADI is probably the best way to describe this. It's got various other stuff here, like engine tacho percent, engine temperature. We've got our QNH there, inches mercury. We've got our fuel state there. There's various other parameters that are displayed quite cool. Next, we have this side, some generic symbology, some of it modeled, some of it not. And in this case, none of the other options or buttons are modeled. Next, the heart of the module is these 4 MFD manipulations. So if we zoom in this one, this MFD can show various pages like most MFDs. So if we want to get to the main menu, click menu obviously. We've got a checklist here. We've got an ADI here, and this is all fully functional and working. If you take it in the air, you'll see. You've got engine parameters here, and again, everything here works. You've got menu bay. The main functionality of this is to tell the DCS Raptor mod which of the bay doors want to operate when firing a missile. So, example, let's say I want to fire this sidewinder here, and I want to have the door open graphically. Well, first of all, we'd say we didn't need to do that. We can fire these missiles without operating the doors. Those doors will just stay closed and the missile will just go through them fine. But if you want to be a bit more realistic, you want the doors to open, in that case I would use this OSB here to select this door here, then I would fire that right sidewinder, and if I did that, when I fired the right sidewinder, the door would operate. The reason we have to do this manually is because just the way the mod works, it has no way of linking the doors to the missile being fired. The real Raptor, you presumably wouldn't have to do this. Again, if we want to fire an AMRAAM, we would select, well, you could either select all, I suppose, or you could select these lower ones here, and then the lower bay doors would open when firing an AMRAAM. Out of interest as well, we can force all of the doors closed or open with ground override, and it will work on the ground. Simba, your doors are currently open. Can you please ground override them closed? Pretty cool. And you can see the symbology has changed on mine. Note as well, we also have flare, ECM and chaff operations, so if I were to fire a flare, ping, you can see that's being used. Note that you can access other menus from here, but in this case I'm just going to go back to the main menu. Next, if we go over to the HSI, this is pretty much just a digitized F-15C HSI. It operates fully. We can have ILS function on or off, and we can cycle the various points of interest. Menu. Flight control system, very important one. You can see the various moving parts of the aircraft, like flaps, leading edge flaps, ailerons, rear stabs, vertical stabs, and stuff like that. And if I were to move them about, rudder in this case, you can see them moving there. Which is your angle of attack and your G. But what we say the main functionality of this screen is if you want to manually override the flight control system of this mod. We have 4 options. FCS Auto is option 1. FCS Override is option 2. FCS G Override, option 3. FCS Angle of Attack Override, option 4. And then I can go back to FCS Auto. I'll put up on the screen now a list of what Granelli describes them as. My understanding is Simba, if I wanted to take off, or land, or air-to-air refuel, or go into a harsh maneuver dogfight, I would want to switch manually to FCS Override. Would you agree with that?
I would agree.
Another thing to say is that this will also be overridden by certain other functions of the plane. So for instance, if I change to a certain air-to-air mode, like foresight mode or something, that will also change these functions for you. That's all I've got to show there. Let's get back out to main menu. Fuel page, graphical representation of the fuel in each tank. The fuel flow, left engine, right engine. Exhaust gas temperature, left engine, right engine. Total fuel, and obviously we've got no tanks on at the moment. Menu, and finally with SMS. This is a stores management system, and in this case, with the module in its current state, it works identical to the F-15C SMS page. So if you want to know more about that, please come watch an F-15C tutorial. Now, we have 2 more MFDs that work essentially the same. We've got this one here that is going to be essentially a repeater of this, in that we can choose all of the same options, but we get an extra option of RWR, whereas this guy over here would have SMS. And that's going to function basically the same as the F-15C RWR. And we have the lower down here. Again, if we go back to main menu, this has the same options that we can do with no special options. And finally, we have the big mother. From here, we can have a TID, which currently doesn't do anything. We can have the radar. This radar operates almost identically to the F-15C radar. Again, it's a 20-minute video to fully understand that. If you want to understand that further, please go and watch the F-15C radar tutorial. A couple of key differences. The PRF can be changed from here. The mode between range while search and track while scan can be changed here. And you can also change the radar elevation with these guys here. Otherwise, identical to the F-15C BVR radar. Main menu. Sys, nothing there yet. SFM. This is going to tell you the basic parameters of the standard flight model. This is not a simple flight model, and no matter however many people tell you it's standard flight model, you want to take that with Wagner, go and argue with him. That's what it is. Angle of attack, G-force, and so on. You got it there. Menu. Config. What's this called, Simba?
Call it the plain Gucci menu.
The plain Gucci menu. Now, me being a non-cool, non-hip, non-youngster, don't really understand that, but what we can do is change various options. So, Simba, please change the colour of your canopy.
Black tint.
Very good.
No tint.
Can you please change your visor?
Mirror visor. Gold tint. Black tint. Clear glass. An aviator glass.
Wow, that will get the kids rocking. We've also got the flood colour, so if I have my floodlights on, which I do, but you just don't see them very well in the light, it's changing the colour of those floodlights. If I want a family photo, that is my wife pilot. Yes, I know it's not very politically correct, but... And finally, we have a window cling on or off, and that is a Garfield?
Yes.
That's a Garfield, and that is the Gucci menu, which is incredibly important. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the additions to this aircraft with the latest mod. Now, let's taxi, if you will, to the runway.
There's a couple of planes nose hot.
A couple of planes nose hot. Well, we're going to show them something. So, parking brake off. I'm going to put my master arm on. Right, let's taxi. Now, I'm not going to lie, she is a bit tetchy with the nose wheel steering. That will take some getting used to, but that's just how it is. Like I said, it's standard flight model, so you cannot flip it over on the ground. I could go 300 knots, it still wouldn't tip over on the ground, but that's just a restriction of this type of flight model. Okay, Simba, we're going to go take off. So, as we spoke about earlier, on our left MFD, I'm going to go menu, I'm going to go FCS, I'm going to go FCS override, I've already got it on. I'm going full power. I'll see you in hell.
Not if I beat you there.
Nah. Airborne. You're up.
Who's airborne?
With the pitch trim, you cannot push and hold. You have to keep pushing it. Lots of little separate pushes. Takes a bit of getting used to, but it's okay once we're there. Right, I'm going to turn my radar on with the I key. In fact, I'm going to go to my radar. Turn it on with the I key. Basically, it's going to function identically to an F-15, okay? I'm going to find a baddie. There's a baddie. Well, it's actually a goodie, but I'm going to shoot him down anyway. I'm going to do a target lock on him. I can't, probably because he's too far away. No, in fact, because I haven't set myself to beyond visual range. So, beyond visual range master mode. Clicking it. Okay. Check our weapons selected, and it is an AMRAAM. 2 AMRAAMs there. Can't lock him. Can you lock him?
Yep, I got him locked.
Ah, that's annoying. Okay, well, I should be patient and wait. Okay, got him locked finally. I know it's a goodie, but, you know, just to show you. All the symbology is exactly the same as an F-15C here. Press and hold the release button. Missile will fire. Fire at will. Simba. Woo! And this time, I'm going to prepare the bay doors. So I'm going to go to menu, bay.
Shoot.
Oh, the doors are already prepared. Let's watch that one from the outside view. Ha ha ha! Pretty cool.
Just want to do an animation of the gun.
Ah, look at that. Wow. Very nice.
Probably can see the gun spinning.
Yeah. Ha ha ha! Very cool. One other thing to point out, we do have thrust vector nozzles on the back. You see them moving up and down. Now, this does not have thrust vector actually modelled in the flight model, which is just for show, really. And just for fun as well, we can show that. If we go to menu, standard flight model here, you can see various parameters, so we can see our G-force we're pulling and whatnot. One other thing to point out before we go, we've done some basic tests, nothing super official, but at low altitude, at about 3,000 feet, we've made it to Mach 1.1 clean, and at altitude, 37,000 feet, we've made it to Mach 2.16, which seems roughly in line with what the real aircraft to do. So in terms of speed, it seems to be relatively realistic.
It will supercruise at 30,000 feet, and it'll get to about Mach 1.0.
Right, I think we've gone on long enough. Simba, thank you very much, and we'll see you later.